Well, let's see if that works, huh? Take two. Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. And what you're looking at here is a bunch of Civil War vintage guns. This is an 1861 Springfield, and this is the real thing. And this is an 1863 Star. Again, it's the real thing. And that are replicas of the 1860 Colt and the 1858 Remington. Those are replicas. Oh, and this is a Josiah L's Mormon revolver, a pocket revolver. It represents what any Union or Confederate soldier might have slipped into his waistcoat or pocket or jacket just to have as a personal weapon. But those were issued weapons. That was the 1, 2, and 3 most common revolvers of the Civil War. On both sides, by the way. Though in the South, these two here, the Remington and the Colt, were getting real scarce. Also, these are in .44 caliber. The South actually sort of standardized on .36 caliber because it was a much more easy caliber to have. They all started out with 1851 Navies on their belts because that's what the officers who came out of West Point actually had. You know, you're at West Point, you're an ensign or a lieutenant doing your training, and you got a little bit extra money from the folks back home, so you go down to the Connecticut Valley and you pick up a pistol to carry when you're finally commissioned. And that's usually what they did. In between they had to save up some money from their beer runs. Well, it wasn't beer so much in those days. I think it was cider or whiskey. That was they had some pretty epic get-togethers for beer during the days at West Point. A lot of the great names in both armies ended up in some hellacious, almost got expelled a few times for being drunk and disorderly. Let's put it that way. I think if you watch the History Guy, he has a thing about one of the beer brawls at West Point that was absolutely epic. It was a Christmas get-together. All over eggnog, as I recall. Anyway, these were very popular in the South, to the point where any kind of battlefield pickup was used wherever possible. The 3 most common rifles used were the Springfield, the 1858, or was it 53 Enfield, and the 1848 Austrian Lorenz. The last one came when both northern and southern buyers went over to Europe and scrounging up whatever they could get their hands on, brought them back to be used by their troops. And it's interesting because all of the Lorenzes you find in the north had been rebored to .58 caliber so that they would match the Springfield and the Enfields. The ones in the south, they were not so picky. I think they were 54 or 57 caliber, I forget exactly. Though the Lorenz itself was sort of, I mean, they were pretty shot out rifles when they got them. And some of them were in absolutely excellent shape and some of them not so much in excellent shape. I think it was the Vienna arsenals, Lorenzes were considered really high end. The ones out of Budapest or other smaller arsenals, not so much. Anyway, so the northern ones were all rebored to .58, but the southern ones were not. And that's really how you can tell which one was which amongst the American Civil War ones. Anyway, it's the least common, but you know, a lot of them showed up. I've got one. I've also got an Enfield. But the Springfield is good enough to represent basically all of them. Anyway, just showing off some of the weapons I've got that I really think highly of. I mean, I've decided this Star is these days it's my star attraction. It's my absolute favorite revolver these days. With 24 grains of 3F black powder and a about a 457, 454 ball, somewhere about there. A 451 is way too small. Fits fine in a Colt, but it's a little too small for this one. So I'd say 454 to 457. This thing just works like a champ. And the last time I took it out was with my son, and he... well, honestly, this thing just keeps cutting off on me for no reason at all. As I was saying, I took out that star with my son, and it was evening time. It was near dusk, and we were blasting at the wood pile. Big clouds of smoke, lots of sparks from the ignition, and it just looked cool. And my son caught the black powder bug. Nice to see that happen. Anyway, just showing off some of my Civil War revolvers and rifles, and just babbling away about them because, you know, it's fun. It's something. It's an interesting aspect of American Revolutionary or Civil War history. Anyway, I did want to mention this. I don't know if I've mentioned it 3 times now, so I'm not even sure if it's on the video, and I'm lousy at video editing. Anyway, I have almost 1,500 subscribers now. Thank you to all of you, and yeah, that's kind of cool. And but I've also heard from a few people who had been subscribed and they went and checked and no, they weren't subscribed anymore. YouTube is doing that funny thing. So if you are subscribed, please check and make sure that you are still subscribed. And if not, well, subscribe. And you know, YouTube doesn't like gun channels at all. And even me, I'm just doing a little historical thing about, I mean, technically speaking, not a gun on this table is a gun in the to the ATF. All of these were made, or are replicas of ones made before 1898. They're all black powder, and they're all old antiques, not modern firearms. I do have some modern firearms, but these are not them. And if I don't know if I disassemble or reassemble a gun like this, if their algorithm's going to go, oh no, look at that, he's doing some engineering on a... I'm not engineering these because they're just too dang old and priceless to do such a thing on. All I'll be doing is taking apart for things like cleaning or maybe maintenance. You know, I get a little tired of hearing like Mike Bellevue talking about how to tune up an 1851 or something and having that banned on YouTube. It's an 18-friggin-51. It's an antique. It's not a gun. Really, it's not. But it's hard to convince an algorithm of that. And there's a gal I watch called Fran Blanche, and as she just recently noted, the AI that runs YouTube is insane. And how do you argue rationally with an insane algorithm? That's why I publish also on Rumble and Bitchute, and I put videos up on Playeur, which is the modern version of Utreon. It's sort of like a Patreon type site, only one that respects its creators. Also, you know, if you'd like to donate, you could also donate on Utreon. You know, I'd be more than happy to accept any donations. But I think, I'm not sure, but I think Patreon actually takes a bigger cut than Utreon does, but or Playeur. So, but anyway, you can always subscribe over on Rumble or Bitchute, and check me out on Playeur. Anyway, that's about all I got to talk about. Nothing much happening. Just thought I'd share something of the Civil War with you. Happy trails. Let's see if I can turn this darn thing off.